Good morning. Jina langu Jiji. Jumapili tarehe 30 Agosti. Nabii alitoa unabii katika nchi ya Syria, Damascus. Nimeona ndege ya angani ya kivita ikishambulia. Naiombea kwa jina la Yesu. Amen.
Israel is being accused of carrying out airstrikes with the latest round of attacks targeting the large T4 airbase near Homs, as well as areas near the Iraqi border. Now, 16 people were allegedly killed in these latest attacks, and Israel has carried out hundreds of airstrikes in Syria, openly declaring that this campaign is aimed at preventing Iran from establishing military bases throughout the country. Well, with us for more on this story, we have our correspondent, Yotam Confino, live from Tel Aviv. So, Yotam, tell us a bit more about the latest attacks in Syria. Is it plausible that Israel are behind them?
I think it's very likely that Israel is behind it. If you look at these specific places that have been bombed in the past couple of days, those are all sites that are either known to be Iranian-linked, either through militias that are Iranian-backed, basically, fighters that are in these specific areas. And the specific airport that was targeted yesterday, very close to Homs, is a site that Israel has bombed before. And Israel does sometimes openly admit that they do strike these Iranian targets throughout the country. And it's quite interesting to see, if you look at the map, how diverse it is. It's from west to east to south, really.
These airstrikes in Syria seem to be getting less coverage, but in general, they seem to have become almost routine, with Israel doing basically whatever it pleases when it comes to its campaign in Syria, no?
It's quite wild, actually, if you think about it, that these strikes happen sometimes several times a week, and it's not really drawing that many headlines after all, because it's very serious when a country obviously strikes another country like this. But if it happens so often, if it's literally hundreds and hundreds of strikes, at some point it becomes old news and is really just a routine. And Israel is doing this without even flinching. They continue until Iran is out of Syria, and this will likely take a long, long time.
All right, so quickly here, what time do you think we're going to see a proper retaliation by either Syria or Iran for these airstrikes?
I think we have to see something very severe. Either Israel may be killing a high-ranking Iranian official or a Syrian official. Something like that. I think it will really have to be severe before we see a complete retaliation in something that Israel hasn't seen before.
And another quick answer here, Israel and the UAE have now diplomatic ties. We've been covering that extensively. And they have a common enemy in Iran. Is it possible that we're going to see cooperation between the two when it comes to countering Iran?
I think down the line they might be able to share intelligence specifically about Iran, because it is a mutual enemy after all. But I think in other areas, I don't think that they will really share that much intelligence. But specifically about Iran, I think it is possible.